I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, and a very big hello to all the listeners. I am back with another edition of A World Gone Mad, Season 1, Episode 17, and I give commentary on national and international news and politics. And this week, we got a doozy of a lot of mad stuff happening. We've got a judge sentencing someone for attacking someone with a hammer. I wonder who that is. And also, Arizona officials say they couldn't find Rudy. Where the hell is Rudy? Also, a Supreme Court justice doing something wrong with our flag. And the House committee meeting in Congress devolves into chaos where everybody's going after each other. And a certain senator says that there should be a pardon for Donald Trump. And the Supreme Court does or doesn't do something right by saving an agency. We'll get into that. Let's jump right to the news. A federal judge this past Friday sentenced David DePappe to 30 years in prison after he was convicted in the violent October 2022 attack on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. Now, DePappe was sentenced to that for assault and 20 years for attempted kidnapping, which will run concurrently. The judge said that she presided over the case, and this had to be done because this needed to ensure that the sentence reflects the seriousness of the offense. He broke into the home of an official, violently attacked the public official's spouse. That act is unprecedented, she said. Good, it's about time. Some solid justice is handed out to these lunatic crazies who thinks it's okay to do crap like this. What next? A Black & Decker drill? A toothpick with spikes on the end of it? You know, you attacked the husband of Nancy Pelosi with a hammer, and you thought that was okay? Sir, 30 years is too light for you. All I care about in this country is right and wrong, and it's added to with the separation of reward and punishment. No delaying of trials, not looking the other way, not being members of a political party that don't think that one person did anything wrong. Justice served correctly, well done. Bye-bye, enjoy your 30 years. Arizona prosecutors had tried for weeks to serve Rudy Giuliani with notice of his indictment related to the alleged scheme, if you want to call it, to overturn the 2020 election results in this state. Now, Giuliani is among a group of former President Donald Trump's allies indicted last month in Arizona, alongside the 11 individuals who acted as fake GOP electors from the state in the last presidential election. But the former New York City mayor and one-time attorney for Trump is the only defendant they were unable to serve with a summons. No, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. I'm not a vicious person, but did Rudy just keel over somewhere and is rotting in a corner of a house or an apartment? Where are you, Rudy? Find Rudy. Find Waldo, right? Wait, latest update. Rudy Giuliani had an 80th birthday bash, and as he was leaving the party, in the chaos, as guests scream and cry when he served papers for the Arizona fake electors case. I'm sorry, I have zero sympathy for you, Rudy. You're a liar. You're a con man, like Donald, only slightly older. You should be put away, totally out of sight to the American people. You're a disgrace, beyond the definition of the word disgrace. Can we get rid of Rudy? Come on, everyone chant. Go, Rudy, go. Go, Rudy, go. Get out of our sights, Rudy. 80 years. And in the last 50, you've had so many situations happen to you that let's not even get into that. Goodbye, Rudy. Hopefully you go away forever, at least to our eyes. Okay, here's a what the hell moment. Really? Justice Samuel Alito has sought to head off mounting criticism over a report that an inverted American flag was flown at his house in January 2021, telling Fox News that his wife hoisted the symbol of discontent in response to profane signs in the neighborhood. Alito said that a neighbor had posted a sign saying F Trump near a school bus stop, and then a sign attacking his wife. On a walk, the justice told Fox the Alitos got into an argument with the neighbor who used the term CUNT at one point His wife then decided to fly the inverted flag. All right, a growing chorus of Democratic lawmakers and ethics experts lobbed criticism at the Supreme Court, rightfully so, in response to this report, and demanded that Alito recuse himself from cases involving the 2020 presidential election and the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. All right, so I'm asking you, the listeners, do you remember a time, for the most part, when Supreme Court justices were held in high regard for the majority of people in this country, regardless of whether they were appointed by Republican presidents or Democratic presidents? That's gone. Kiss that idea out the window. People, some of these judges, from Clarence Thomas with his finances to Alito with this flying the upside down flag, and a few other justices, have jumped the shark. They are in the back pockets of the politicians, I feel. It comes across that way from their actions and their recent decisions. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. Shameful again, and another obvious example of what's happening in this country. This brings to mind the term kangaroo court. For those of you not familiar with that term, it's not a nice term. And unfortunately, a lot of the conservatives, if not all of them, the Supreme Court justices, act like a kangaroo court. Hey, let's go from bad to worse, okay? Proceedings quickly devolved this past Thursday night during a House committee oversight markup on holding Attorney General Merrick Garland in contempt, with GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Loonball and Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, getting into a briefly locked, back and forth, heated verbal battle. Hey, get your cotton candy and popcorn. Circus, right? All right, as the panel met to consider the contempt of Garland over his refusal to turn over audio recordings of President Joe Biden's interview with Special Counsel Robert Hur, Greene sparked this back and forth when she commented on Jasmine Crockett, Democratic representative's appearance. The Georgia Republican started by asking Democrats on the committee if any of them employ the daughter of Judge Juan Merton, who is overseeing the criminal trial in New York of former President Donald Trump. Now, as Republicans have sought to curry favor with Donald, they have gone after the daughter of the judge, who has ties to Democrats, as they seek to undermine this case. And here's where it devolves even lower. Crockett, the freshman lawmaker from Texas, asked Greene, "Do you know what we're here for?" And Marjorie Taylor Loonball shot back, "I don't think you know what you're here for. I think your fake eyelashes are messing up what you're reading." Really, Loonball? That's what you went for? And you're a member of Congress? AOC rightfully jumped in to get those words stricken from the record. "That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person," the New York Democrat said. And then it got just even worse. Marjorie Taylor Loonball, the nutcake formerly known as Greene, has lost it again and again. When she's not in the public eye for a brief period of time, she does something to try to put the focus back on her. This is a very insecure individual. I wish the Republicans, they're starting to slowly, but I wish a majority of them would realize that this is a bad poison to have amongst themselves. Marjorie Taylor Loonball is like that splinter you get in your finger. You know what I'm talking about? It doesn't hurt you enough to really stop you in your day from doing things, but it's painful enough to bother you and make you want to try to get it out. And you just can't get it out of your finger, and it just remains there, and it's just a nuisance. I wish I could get that splinter and pull it out and make it go away. I wish Marjorie Taylor Loonball would go away. She is a waste of a seat in Congress. Here's a quote, if you haven't read this, from former Senator Mitt Romney, who suggested that President Biden should pardon Donald Trump, a la reminiscent of the Gerald Ford pardon of Nixon. Really, Mitt? Seriously? This is what you believe, that a pardon should have been done by President Biden for Donald? I now question your beliefs or loyalty. Or are you just angling to get in the good graces of Donny Boy? I thought at some point in time you were somewhat intelligent, somewhat sane, and then you make that comment about the pardon, and it makes me doubt you, sir. A pardon for Donald? I don't think so. There was a hearing this past week in front of the Supreme Court on whether to save the Consumer Protection Agency after a challenge, of course, from conservatives and the payday lending industry. Ooh, what a great couple in bed, right? Well, the Supreme Court ruled that the federal watchdog created in response to the 2008 financial meltdown is allowed to continue to operate in its current form. Thank you. Brushing aside claims from the payday lending industry that could have severely jeopardized years of consumer-friendly banking regulations. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote the majority opinion. It was a 7-2 decision to keep the agency. The ruling is a victory for the Biden administration, which argued that the lower court's decision invalidating the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's funding would have gutted years of popular regulations on mortgages, car loans, and credit cards. Congress created the Bureau in 2010 to protect the consumers from financial scams. And of course, Republicans have long been skeptical of the agency, which was originally envisioned by Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren. Hey, the Supreme Court did something right? The conservatives? The conservatives basically joined the liberals. Thank you. One decision that you got right. They were trying to eliminate this agency, really? I'm glad you decided against this and you showed a semblance of intelligence collectively to do what's right for the American people and not take political sides of the aisle. That's not what you're there for. Now, can you just have a little consistency, we wish, from the Supreme Court and its rulings going forward? Or is that too much to ask for? You know, it is called checks and balances for the Supreme Court, not the checks that Clarence Thomas receives for all his trips, and not the unbalance that Justice Alito has by turning the flag upside down in protest to a neighbor. Okay, before I take a short break and come back with my commentary, I want to remind you, if you are listening to this podcast, thank you. If you're new, thank you. If you're not a member of the Facebook group for this podcast, why not? It's called A World Gone Mad Podcast. A World Gone Mad Podcast. Got to put the word podcast in. Search for it on Facebook. If you can't find it, email me, and I will send you a direct link for you to join. You should be a member of a growing community. We've only been around for just about a month, and we already have over 300 members, listeners of the Facebook, or rather of the podcast. So become a member, join us, and talk about what's happening in the world today. I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, my commentary on the parade and continuing circus of Republicans who support Donald Trump showing up inside the hush money trial, inside the courtroom, and outside the courtroom after each day in front of the microphones. Really wrong. I'll be right back.
This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad.
You're listening to A World Gone Mad. Thank you. And you could reach me by sending me an email. And the email is aworldgonemadpodcast, aworldgonemadpodcast@gmail.com. Leave your first name in the email, your age, your location, where you're, listening to us from, what app, etc., and any comments you have. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe. That way I can let you know when the new episode goes online. It's automatic and it's free. Also, if you can review, rate, rank the show on the app you're listening from, that helps me tremendously. I thank you for listening, whether you just joined us for the first time or have been listening for a while. I appreciate that. And now, back to the show.
This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad.
And I'm back. And I want to talk about, for this episode, my commentary on the parade and circus of Republicans supporting Donald Trump inside the courtroom and outside of the hush money trial. Now, I'm going to talk more about this in a little while, why this is wrong. But let me give you a list of names. These are the people showing up in the last 2 weeks, okay? Bear with me. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. Eric and Lara Trump. Sitting U.S. Senators Rick Scott from Florida, Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, and JD Vance from Ohio. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. Members of Congress Andy Biggs, Arizona, Lauren Boebert, bobblehead from Colorado, Michael Cloud from Texas, Eli Crane from Arizona, Byron Donalds from Florida, Matt Gaetz from Florida, Bob Good from Virginia, Diana Harshbarger from Tennessee, Corey Mills from Florida, Andy Ogles from Tennessee, Ralph Norman from South Carolina, Anna Paulina Luna from Florida, and Mike Waltz from Florida. And I probably missed a couple. But these are the people who are showing up not just in support for Donald during the hush money trial, but even more. Okay? And silly me, I did recall the others. Andrew Giuliani, Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General, Vivek Ramaswamy, former 2024 Republican presidential candidate, Jeanine Pirro, Fox News host. For some, it's to show Trump they are worthy of his consideration for a potential future cabinet position if he gets to be president again, or even to be his next vice president. Senator JD Vance of Ohio, Byron Donalds of Florida, and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum, all tabbed as potential Trump running mates. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Tim Scott there also? He was tabbed as a vice presidential potential running mate for Donald. So also Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, who appeared alongside Vance and other GOP lawmakers at the court this past Monday, said they spoke at Trump's trial to overcome this gag order placed on Donald. And this is the problem that I have. This is the issue of why this is wrong, and let's get into it deeper. And thank you for bearing with the long list, but I wanted to point out the type of people, the positions, and the names of people showing up at the hush money trial. There is nothing wrong, please understand this, nothing wrong with showing support for someone during a trial that you know, family member, friend, etc., or to go to a trial to sit in the audience to hear the evidence for or against someone. The problem I have, what is wrong, monumentally wrong and different from any type of trial in the past, is to being a surrogate for the defendant and then talking outside in front of the courtroom under media scrutiny in front of microphones to overcome the gag order that's placed on Donald. That's wrong. They're talking as mouthpieces for Donald because he can't, because he's slapped with the heavy gag order. That's unheard of. There are no trials that do that. You can't sit there and disparage the trial and the people involved. They're trying to influence the courtroom, to influence the judges, influence his decisions or rulings, to influence the jury and the media by making comments in front of a microphone after each day of the trial. Think about this, everyone. This is where we are, people. This is the type of garbage that's happening in our country right now. The rule of law has gone out the window. If you don't like a decision on something, screw it. Tell everyone it was fake and it was falsified and it was rigged. If you don't like a subpoena, don't show up. If you don't like a courtroom trial, stand outside in support of the person who's under the indictment and talk for them and try to twist the facts and influence the decision in the trial. It's a joke. It's okay to support a thief, a liar, a womanizer, a waste of DNA at a courtroom to be his mouthpiece each and every day? This is disgusting and shameful. And this is the tip of the iceberg. And imagine and think, and I know all of you are already doing this, what will happen if Donald is in the White House again? So with that scary thought that I left you with, unfortunately, in your mind, I just want to remind you, if you're listening to this podcast, I encourage you to join the Facebook group for it, A World Gone Mad Podcast. A World Gone Mad Podcast on Facebook. The phone number, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to leave a comment, 833-399-9653. Take advantage of that. And also, we gave you the email. And if you're using the Buzzsprout link, you can leave a comment at any time during the podcast. I encourage you to tell everyone about this podcast. Share the information, share the Facebook group information, etc. I will be back next week with another episode of A World Gone Mad. I'm your host, Jeff Allen Wolf. Stay hopeful.